Windows Server Backup is another one of those technologies you can guarantee you're going to see a few questions on the exam. For one very easy to understand reason, it has new functionality in Windows Server 2008, and there are some gotchas you need to know about, and I'm going to go through those in this video. First of all, with Windows Server Backup, let's just talk about all the nuances of it, then I'll show you how to install it, and then I'll just kind of leave it with you to go out there and jump in this thing and play and do some backups and restores. And you need to do a few before you go take the exam. But first of all, we can back up the entire server, including the operating system. We can back up system state data, which is Active Directory and the management of the PC or the computer. We'll talk about what that is specifically in just a few minutes. The server's configuration data and the directory store gets backed up as part of that, and we will drill into that again in just a few minutes. Now, when you do a system state restore on the Active Directory, you can do one of two different types of restores. You can do an authoritative restore, which means whatever data I restore and put back on the domain controller has authority over any other piece of data, and it won't be overwritten by anybody else's. In other words, this one becomes the big one, and it overwrites all the other DCs. We restore something in an authoritative restore. The data we restore in that authoritative restore kind of trumps all the other data that's out there on the other DCs. Now, a non-authoritative restore is just the opposite. We're going to restore data because we might have deleted something, but if there's anything out there on another domain controller and it replicates back to this, it will overwrite ours if it's older, the one that just got restored. Make sure you read and understand about authoritative and non-authoritative restores. That hasn't changed since previous versions of Active Directory. We can use a functionality called IFM, Install from Media, and we can copy the ntds.dit file, which by the way is your Active Directory database, and we can physically move it from one domain controller to another one, and this will reduce replication that's required during the domain controller setup. And this is great for domain controllers that are across slow links and that sort of stuff. Now, let's talk about some characteristics of Windows Server Backup that may be different from prior versions of the old NT Backup, and that can be kind of some gotcha situations on the exam. First of all, Windows Server Backup and the command line portion of Windows Server Backup, called WBADMIN, are not installed by default. You install these as features, and I'll show you how to do that in just a few minutes. Backups, when we do a backup with Windows Server, it captures entire volumes. System volume, boot volume, volume hosting sysvol, volume hosting Active Directory database, all of our Active Directory logs. And so backups are going to capture all of those. Then backups can be automated or manual, and watch for this. You cannot back up to tape or dynamic volumes. You can back up to network drives, removable hard drives, as long as they're basic volumes, no dynamic volumes. Watch for that on the exam. And you can back up to DVDs and CDs. Now, Microsoft's very proud of this being able to back up to removable media, so you will see some of that on the exam. I can't back up individual files. In some cases, I can restore individual files, but on backups, I do full volume backups only. Now, to back up the system state data only, I have to use the NTDS utility with the IFM switch. I can't use just graphical Windows Server Backup to get system state data only. So just keep that in mind. And I can't back up system state data with Server Backup, but I can restore it. Go figure, but watch for that on questions on the exam. Also, backup operators cannot create scheduled backups. They can do demand backups, but they can't schedule them. Let's talk about system state data now. Let's kind of drill into that. When we're talking about backing up system state data, what we mean is we've got a domain controller and we just want to back up the necessary data that is going to be changed. Because if we lose the server, we can just reinstall the operating system. There's going to be no big deal there. Just name it the same and all that, but we need to go in and fix our system state data. Now that consists of the registry, the COMPLUS class registration database, if you know what COMPLUS is, if you're one of those developer types, okay, If you're not, don't worry about it. Boot files, system files that are under Windows Resource Protection. So if those are under there, they're going to get picked up in system state data. The sysfile directory, the Active Directory Domain Services database, and then other data specific to other server roles. So if you have other server roles on that particular domain controller, depending on what role you got, it's going to back up a few files as well. So all of that put together is kind of some of the things you need to watch for when it comes to Windows Server backup. Now obviously there's some changes, there's some things they might can trip you up on. There are a lot of things different from the old NT backup, so you want to read up on this, and better yet, just go play with it. Go do some backups using it, set it up as a feature, and let me step out there right quick and show you what this looks like. To install this as a feature, I'm going to click on Start and go to Administrative Tools, and I will go to Server Manager. This is an absolute piece of cake. If you'll notice, I'm just going to expand Features, and then I will add Features. And if you scroll down here to the bottom, you will notice Windows Server Backup Features. Just choose both of these, and I will add the required features, which is PowerShell for command line tools. Then I'll just go through this, and I won't make you watch all this, but that's how I'm going to set up Server Backup and the command line tools. So that's how to get Windows Server Backup on, and that's some of the nuances of it that you'll need to kind of watch for on this exam.